Hello, look who's back. Welcome to the Association of Towns NIAT's Town Tea. My name is Katie Hodgson. I am Association Counsel with the Association of Towns, and with me today is our Deputy Director, Sarah Brinkatella. And we are here to give you a quick cup of tea of a hot topic going on right now as we speak, the recent enactment of the .gov website requirement. Sarah, turning it over to you.
So would you call it a hot cup of tea?
It is a hot cup of tea. Love it. Yeah, not
Yeah,
a dose. I don't know what I was saying with that. So, yes, can you please give us that piping hot cup of tea?
sure. So as some of you may know, in December of 2024, there was legislation that was adopted requiring all municipalities to have a .gov website. We being NIOT, worked really closely with legislators to get that amended and have a chapter amendment introduced immediately so that it basically exempts municipalities with a population of 1,500 or below. Um, the language in the law says to the extent practicable. So again, smaller municipalities need not really concern themselves too much. If you want to have a .gov website, like that's awesome, that's cool, but you are not required to. So this chapter amendment was adopted, gosh, I want to say like the end of February. We've been including information about it in our legislative emails that go out on Friday. We have some information about the bill and what it does on our website under the Legislative Resource Hub at nytowns.org. And yeah, there's a few other things, but I feel like I've been droning on. That's a general
Running on it
overview.
all. So, Sarah, as you're not only are you our deputy director, you are also our legislative director. What is a chapter amendment?
A chapter amendment is a pre-negotiated change to a piece of legislation. So the governor, basically what happens is the executive branch says, okay, I'll sign this legislation with the understanding that these changes are going to be made. So the Senate and the Assembly and the governor all have these changes already in place, already negotiated, that with the understanding that the law will only be signed into law so long as these changes are immediately going to go through or almost instantaneously going to go through. It can be a little bit of a weird process. A lot of times they're just used for administrative things where they don't want to hold up a local law, or like ministerial things, not administrative things, ministerial things. If they don't want to hold up a law for a whole other year, they'll just sign a law and introduce chapter amendments to make those ministerial changes. And then other times they're more policy based. Um, it's
Like the recent short-term rental one, right? That shifted
yeah,
at
yeah,
state
that was
levels. Yeah.
also yeah. And so anytime you hear the term chapter amendment, it is a pre-negotiated change to legislation that is getting signed.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So we've spoken to some of our members that they've said, well, do we have to do that? Or let's say we shift to a .gov, but can we still have it filter over to our .com address that we have? I've said, no, that's not really in the spirit of the law. So this is for those with populations over 1,500, because as I like to say, and I'm sure you do too, so to the extent practicable, I don't want to say it's your get out of jail free card, but there's a lot of wiggle room there. Would you agree?
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm hesitant to say you're flat out exempt, but also if you don't get it, like that's okay. With respect to the question that you asked, I don't think that that would suffice. There are also in this legislation, there are some requirements for what has to be on this .gov website, and it refers to it as like the town's official website. So I think just having a kind of shell.gov that directs you to another like .com, I don't really think that that would comply with the spirit or intent of the law. And as far as some of the things that are required to be included on the .gov website, you have to include things like the hours of operation for town services. So like the town clerk's office, you have to list what hours that's open. You have to have a list of elected officials. You have to upload certain financial documents like your town's most recent budget. So you would have to post the 2025 budget. I'm trying to think what else. The most recent audit report, You have to include on there public notices. So for any sort of like hearings or meetings, you have to have a notification on your website, which actually really hoping to parlay that into getting rid of the print requirement being and arguing to the legislature, hey, now you're requiring these notices be electronic on our website. Why don't you save us a few bucks and get rid of the print requirement? So that's something in the works, or
Oh, big paper though.
yeah,
Take a
laying
lot
the
of
groundwork, laying the groundwork for that. Agendas, if your town uses agendas, you have to post that. That's in compliance with open meetings law. I can't remember the section, but Katie and I did a town tea on that like two years ago.
Sure did. Time flies
Yeah,
when you're having fun.
yeah, been a while. Minutes, you have to include that. So
It's
all
all
of this
stuff
is,
that should be essentially, the other laws might require this, but it puts it all in one place. Let's have
yeah,
these things on there. We want transparency and openness to the extent. Well, for those that are over 1,500, you have to do it. Um,
yeah,
so,
it's all stuff that the public has access to, has the right to access anyway.
right.
So it's just maybe it will reduce some FOIL
Yeah,
requests in
make
town.
jobs easier, right? That's the
Yeah.
goal. So would you say there are any teeth to this law? So let's say I am a town official and my town's population is 4,500 and I don't have a .gov, or I do have a .gov, but I don't post all of these required items. What's going to happen to my town?
Yeah, so there aren't any sanctions written in the legislation. That being said, the provisions about agendas and having related documents that you're going to talk about in a meeting under open meetings law, there, I mean, somebody can always bring a declaratory judgment action and Article 78. There's the option to award reasonable attorney's fees under open meetings law. So like if you don't have the .gov and then as a consequence you don't comply with open meetings law, that's sort of like a back end way of there being consequences. Nonetheless, a good faith effort should be made to comply with this. And we've heard from a bunch of our members that it's actually a relatively easy process. You can contact, we have a website, we have a link that you can reach out to. It's the U.S. General Services Administration. They're the ones who get get you the .gov site. Yeah, we've heard that it's pretty painless, or it has been for those who've gone through the process already.
And if you came to this recording from the PDF document that Nayat put together, thank you, Sarah. You have the link right there to get that process rolling for your town because this isn't in effect yet, correct?
Correct. I mean, it's effective December 21st, 2025 is when you're supposed to have the .gov done by. Um,
So
wait,
let's
is that
start the
right?
ball rolling now because it's
Yeah.
likely not going to take long, but you do want to be in compliance. And
Wait, now I'm like, is
a
that
thousand, yeah, and
right?
you can do it.
Yeah,
You should do it.
yeah, yeah. Make sure you get it done. Get it done by the end of the year. Try to get it done by the end of the year.
And this is something you come to your constituents and say you're complying with the law, and everyone will be happy.
Yeah, I don't think this is one of those laws where it demands perfection, immediate perfection. I think as long as there are good faith efforts to comply with it, awesome. Contact the General Services Administration to get your .gov up and running. But if it's not all set by December 21st, 2025, if somebody complains, at least you can say, hey, we're waiting on GSA. Um, yeah,
And if you have questions, you can reach out to Sarah or me, and we can connect you with some members that we've talked to have said their process was super easy and they can, assuage any fears. Not that we're all fearful about this. Just other things to worry about, right? This is an easy lift,
yeah.
right? So
So
do we have
that's
anything else we want to cover, Sarah?
no, that's the tea that I have on municipal websites, .gov. I mean, if you want to know the policy behind it, it's to improve cybersecurity. That's one of the reasons, and to make sure that everybody knows it's official.
Because I'm sure there are some towns where you have very engaged citizens that create their own websites talking about what's going on in the town. Those are unofficial and they're not going to be able to get a .gov. You have to be a locality in order to do so. So this is all positive stuff.
Yeah, not the worst.
Sarah, would you like to close us out for today?
Um, sure, that is the tea that we have for today.
Okay. Thanks. We'll see you guys soon. All right.
Bye.